Hey, Buns. Well, in case you haven't heard, because you're living under a moon rock, we are going to the moon in 6.0. We found that out during the announcement showcase that happened over the weekend. One that I stayed up all night and well into the early hours of the morning to stream. But now that I've had a chance to rest up and gather my thoughts on all my various theories that I have, I wanted to do a bit of a recap and share all those theories with you today. The first new job we are getting is Sage, which is a shield healer, and we can see it in the CGI trailer as Alphino has switched it to Sage, which makes me wonder, as a person who plays Summoner, are we going to get to adopt his carbuncle that he apparently doesn't need anymore, the Moonstone Carby? I mean, that would be thematically appropriate. Though I was genuinely shocked by some of the reactions from people who were disappointed that it's not Chemist. I mean, first of all, we have Alchemist already. I know it's a crafter, but it's the exact same aesthetic as what people wanted for Chemist. And like for the people that wanted a scientific vibe, I think Sage has that, and even more so.
It was supposed to be more of like a mixologist though. I think the wrong term was used. I think people were really excited about having something that wasn't just like healing throughput, that wasn't going to be as homogenized, right? And so I don't think people are still actually upset that it wasn't Chemist, and I do think that this is very scientific, especially from like an ethereal standpoint. But I don't think I think people are reading harder about like waiting for ultimate than they are about what healer we got, to be honest.
I'll help you level wherever you want.
Plus, like, it's fun. Thank you so much for the follow. Plus, it's fun, like, trying to figure out what job it's going to be. Like, nobody would have seen this coming. You know what I mean? And it's cool. And, like, the reveal, you think it sounded wrong? Really? Right, and Chemist would have been hard to balance, but I don't think that it would have had anything to do with like Alchemist. I think people's idea of it was supposed to be like a mixologist, which is what I wanted, like a ninja where you had to like mix and throw stuff. Obviously that would be totally unbalanced and probably would not work at all, but it was something that I thought was cool. I don't think people are that, or if they are that upset about it, they just need to relax. Like...
Than Chemist. Like, you can see the ether gauge there on the belt, and I mean, this is next level technology. This is like much more advanced than mixing potions together and throwing potions at people's heads. It's somehow more fantasy and more scientific.
But I thought that would have been cool. That's the thing. I do like the gear though. I think this class gear is really cool. Like, I love the headpiece. I love the idea of, I think my favorite thing was like, you know how you have Emerald weapon and Emerald has the hands, and if the hands are spread and then they come in, that's when you know you have to get out, and like vice versa. Or like how we had Beastmaster for Ranjit, and when we have like Thanjit and E11S, just having like those things that circle around your character. Like, I actually think that's really cool. So I think the whole idea of this and the aesthetic is really cool. And I don't know why I'm doing these hand movements.
Than Chemist would have ever been, and more unique. I mean, these new liths, that's the name of these weapons. The new liths are shooting bullets. They're knives. They're energy shield generators. I mean,
it's really cool.
Alphino is done playing. I knew that ever since that scene in Yulmore where he told off Valkyrie and he got that attitude, like he's changed. Now, I don't normally play healer too much, and I'm probably not going to be changing my main to Sage, but which is how cool it looks conceptually. I mean, I could definitely envy Sage.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Healer
and
more.
I think the only thing that I was upset about it, or not necessarily upset because I haven't really played the class, is that people were saying that Astro already got a rework. So there's not as much with like the card throughput as there was previously. You know, you have like your melee card and your ranged card, and you don't have to, like, the weaving is still tough, and like the pulling cards and things like that is still like you have to put thought into, so it's extra to do as a healer, which is why people like playing it versus white mage. But people were upset about the rework that they already had, and then they were talking about reworking Astro even further because of its barriers. And because Sage is going to be casting the barrier type spells, barriers and absorbs. So I think that's probably the only downside to it. But again, I can't really talk very much about it because like what I've played of Astros feels fluid because I've only leveled it to like 72 and it's on another data center character. But I think that's the only thing that I can find that's negative. I'm definitely not upset about this healer at all. I think it looks really, really fun. I'm not upset that we are getting Sage instead of Chemist whatsoever. But I do feel bad for those people who actually are like Astro mains, and I hope that they really balance it out. One of the things that people were really worried about was that healing in 14 was becoming too homogenized. This, as far as what we've been presented with, is not. I don't know if it's going to continue to not be homogenized, but this is cool.
More on it. Concerning the second job that they have planned for release in Endwalker, they did confirm it will be a melee DPS, but that's all they had to say about it. They said that they will reveal it at the Digital FanFest in May. How to be your first rodeo at FanFest, you may be confused as to why everyone is obsessing over Yoshida's choice of t-shirt. There's a good reason for that, as he has a history of hinting heavily at future jobs through his t-shirt choice. For example, he hinted at Red Mage with a Scarlet Witch t-shirt, Dark Knight with a Batman t-shirt, Machinist with a 007 t-shirt, and recently Samurai with a Spider-Man t-shirt, which was a reference to the original director of the trilogy, Sam Raimi. If you say that in Japanese, it sounds like Samuraimi. At the time I heard that theory, I thought,
wait, what? That was the t-shirt and that was the reference? I also thought the name was supposed to be, I didn't think the pronunciation was Rami. I thought it was Sam Rami, which would make more sense as samurai. But yeah, but I didn't realize that, like, I knew it was his shirt and I knew it was a Spider-Man t-shirt. I just didn't know it was because of the directive. Samurai. That makes sense. Thank you so much for hanging out, Jester. I appreciate it. Have a nice night, man. Spider Samurai.
It was a stretch, but I turned out to be wrong, so sometimes it's a little obscure. So when I saw Yoshida's t-shirt of a skeleton, I got extremely excited, and I immediately thought Necromancer. Necromancer, I confirmed. But I kind of felt like maybe they wanted to deter some of that. Previously, they had said that the common guesses had been wrong.
Right. So I know the director of Spider-Man. I just didn't realize that that's what people have been speculating was. You know what I mean?
The new job to be, and the guesses have been kind of off for the most part.
Necromancer was a very popular common guess, so I think that that's something that kind of makes it less likely. Also, there's lore problems, obviously, with Necromancer. I mean, the Warrior of Light.
I don't think it's going to be Necromancer. I think it would be neat, but I don't think that's what it's going to be.
And necromancy is evil. Like, I don't think there's any way around it. Yes, there is that one character in that one dungeon who happens to be a Necromancer. I know, but I just feel like it's a bit of a stretch as much as I wanted it to be.
That's how I felt too.
Koji also said, well, translating from Yoshida,
another seer?
It's not going to be
seer? I know,
that wrestler, no. And I had to ask someone who speaks Japanese why they were suddenly talking about wrestlers. Apparently, some of the viewers were memeing about the second job being a sumo wrestler, and that is not it. So not sumo, and not a popular guess. So what is it then if skeleton?
I actually thought it would kind of be cool if it was a sumo wrestler. Like, if they actually made it so that Mikote could be, like, fluffier, and you could make them like the fat cats in Yulemore and have it be like, you know, have it be like, I can't think of their names at the moment, but like the ones that in Yulemore, and then have them be like sumo. Like,
doesn't mean Necromancer, then it might be a reference to the Grim Reaper and his iconic weapon, the Scythe. Now, the Scythe is a recurring weapon type throughout the Final Fantasy series, and at the live letter that took place after the announcement showcase, Yoshida put on a different shirt, this one more explicitly showing a Grim Reaper carrying a scythe on it, so I think that's pretty heavy hinting there. More to it, if you look closely at this CGI trailer, you can see a long hilt leaning against the throne that Xenos is sitting on. And we can only see the back of it, but keep in mind that this trailer, like, this is the first part that we will see, if it's anything like the Shadowbringers trailer, which I think we all assume, in the next...
What if it was a melee class where, like, and this is what Alize turned into, because he said that not only was she going to get a new uniform, but that the person that was going to teach everyone this class was going to be really like out of left field. So what if the new job is a scythe wielder melee? And what if the teacher is Xenos? What if Xenos what if we somehow get him on our side because he actually considers the Warrior of Light his friend?
Manifest, we'll see more of this trailer, more parts of it. And so maybe in the future parts that we see, we'll actually see the full weapon. And this is, you know, a teaser. Listen to the narration at that part too. It specifically mentions blades dark and light.
Past the far edge of fate, bring blades dark and light, tolling the coming of the end.
And blades
dark
and
the
light
blades
too.
Dark, it's zoomed in on Xenos, and when we mention the light blades, we're zoomed in on Warrior of Light, Paladin. So I believe this is a dark blade, a scythe of some kind, wielded by Xenos, who has moved on from his katana phase. He's unsubbed from Crunchyroll and in a new phase now. But is it a goth phase? How dark is this blade is my question. Because here's the other thing. It can't be the same as Dark Knight. It needs to depart from that thematically. Right. And I wonder if it would be more of a job that maybe uses black magic in some way. Consider also that this is a job that will be available to players, to the Warrior of Light.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, what if it is Alizé? And Alizé right now is a red mage. Red mage is the balance between light magic and dark magic. What if the idea is that the dark magic becomes more overwhelming and useful, and not necessarily a necromancer, but it's more of like a scythe-wielding melee that also uses dark magic?
Can't be so unbelievably evil that you wouldn't be able to pick it up too. So I started doing some research on various Final Fantasy moon-dwelling characters, and the 2010 Nintendo DS game, Final Fantasy The Four Heroes of Light, features someone who was the last survivor of the moonfolk named Cringe. Yeah. His name is Cringe.
That's
awesome. He wields
awesome.
not quite a scythe, but a long, curved scimitar-type weapon. Consider also Magnolia Arch, another Lunarian from Bravely Second End Layer, who wields a long, curved glaive. Like that scimitar and like that glaive, the scythe is a weapon that has a long, curved edge, like the shape of a crescent moon, which is perfect thematically for this expansion.
Yeah,
not only
that
for
would
its
be.
moon-like shape, but also as the blade of the Grim Reaper, which, as the trailer says, tolls the coming of the end. Seems likely that Xenos got such a weapon from his new best buddy, Fan Daniel, who has already established his connection to the moon with his lunar Bahamut pet, and we've seen other Asians on the moon in previous cutscenes. But is it possible to learn this power?
Yeah, let's look
Not
up
from
some
a
curved
Scion.
blades.
As I said before, it will of course be possible for us to pick up the scythe as well, assuming I'm right about all this.
Yeah.
So, therefore, I believe that there are friendly creatures on the moon.
That makes sense, and I can see why
here's
she
where
wanted
my
to wait
theory
for this
flies
too.
off the deep end, so like buckle in. I'm sure some of y'all can already guess what I'm about to say. We know that Final Fantasy IV is a huge inspiration for this expansion, being centered as it is around
Which is
the
why
moon. So much so that the commemorative items that you can choose to get for the digital fan fest include, for example, some
help you
Final
level
Fantasy
wherever you
IV
want.
characters as minions.
And those look so cute.
Now, I'm about to give some
Thank
FF4
you for the
spoilers.
follow.
If you don't want to hear those, you can just skip to the next chapter. I'll put video chapters here. But in Final Fantasy IV, like I said, a game this expansion is inspired by, there are bunnies called Hummingway on the moon. And while some of them can speak, most of them simply hum, hum, hum.
They're so cute. It's literally going to be like my playthrough in reaction of this stuff. Like seriously, I would get minions too. I want to get all of the t-shirts that they showed on the live letter as well. But they're so cute. And the moon whale, I did see that and I liked it.
They make humming noises. I believe that this is the explanation for Yoshida's first shirt, which said no comment, as in unwilling or unable to speak words. So perhaps they are the ones that will teach us
That makes
the ways
sense.
of the moon glaive or the moon scythe, Or maybe the job is a reaper, and you will learn that from doing your island sanctuary, because you reap what you sow, and so you'll be doing some gardening. It's actually just botanist 2.0.
Oh no.
Moving right along. I was really touched when Yoshida said that he saw Final Fantasy XIV as his life's work. Like,
I know, I was too.
as a Final Fantasy XIV.
And he literally said that what was really funny was people kept joking, saying necromancer, because he said that not only does he foresee himself working on 14 until the day he dies, but probably after death too. And people were like, the class is necromancer.
Creator, like, I don't have plans to go anywhere, but it was still like, it made me feel very secure in what I'm doing too.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like he's in it for the long haul as well, and it made me feel very reassured. It's like, if he's holding, I'm holding to the moon. Rad-zat-han is the smaller town that we're getting. They said in scale it'll be about the size of Yulemore, and it is beautiful. I mean, it has this Indian architecture. It seems to be in like an Amazon river basin type.
See, I love how there are it's on top of this, right? Like the whole city is built on this like cliff mountain thing, and there's like trees that have grown up in the middle of it. And I don't know if you guys have seen like those like crazy house shows where people literally build like their houses in the woods like that. And then it's literally like they have trees that grow into the house, and they have like all of these fountains and everything. And that's what this reminded me of. Like, I actually think this is really cool. I'm excited for all of the places that we're going to.
Next location that they showed us is Garlemald. And if you recall my streams, I had said that I was very much hoping it was not a Garlemald expansion, as I'm really over the Castrum vibes. Like, we've seen so many of these little Garlean outposts. We've had dungeons of this. Like, I feel like I've seen it 1,000 times, and I wanted something.
I actually kind of feel the same way. Like, I think my only, and it's not even a qualm about the game, but like, because I love MMOs, I really love 14, but for me, aesthetically, like the reason that rad-zat-han and Thavnair looks so pretty is because I like more of less like mechanical things. Like, I'm less of a steampunk person. I don't like all of the machina and things like that, which is surprising as to why I think Sage looks so cool. So like, for me as well, the reason that I was like, oh, it's the moon and not Garlemald, was because I was assuming that
I'll help you level
even though it seemed like Bosjo was just like there for the relic weapon, and it was just a grind until 6.0 or a grind until 5.5 or whatever, I was hoping that it was going to be like the underlying thing, like the underlying setup for us going to Garlemald and having that be like the full expansion. But at the same time, I don't like the Garlemald aesthetic either. I don't like the Castrum aesthetic. I don't like any of the building stuff, because I'm not a fan of this type of architecture, because I prefer like more high fantasy type, environments. So I don't know. Garlemald housing, no thank you. I'll skip right over that.
Different. And boy, did they deliver. Like, Garlemald is... Can you really say that we're going to Garlemald if it has been completely incinerated? Like, we're going to what's left of Garlemald. And it's...
Yeah.
Who would even be left after something like this? It looks bad. It looks real bad what happened. It got nuked, basically. Mm-hmm. Now, I thought that this was like a nuclear winter, because you see some snowy pictures, but apparently Garlemald was always really cold, so it's not that. As for what the large town is going to be like, they said they can't talk about that yet, which makes me believe that maybe it's on the moon. Maybe it's it's a cave full of bunnies on the moon. Where exactly is the Warrior of Light walking at the start of the trailer? What is that bubble of light? Is he walking into a city? A bubble city on the moon? I don't think so. I'm just asking. We're speculating here. The elephant people, or the Matanga, are the
I'm
new
so excited
beast
about
tribe
the
race,
Matanga.
and I think they're quite cute.
They are cute.
But I saw this on Reddit, and I have to share it with you. It was posted by Constellare, And it's a snippet from the Encyclopedia Eorzea. It says, although their reason is unclear, the Matanga despise the Aura with a fury. Their hatred runs so deep that when they attack the Azam Steppe natives, it is not for food or plunder, but for the sole purpose of killing Aura. Naturally, the proud Zela natives do not shrink from a fight, and often the would-be slaughterers find themselves cut down in a vicious counterattack. Yet no matter how decisively the Aura punish their tormentors, the Matanga return again and again, as if driven by some inexorable force. Oh, it says, Aura better be careful. In Roz.
But they're so cute.
What mystery could he be talking about? I asked my stream that question yesterday, and somebody suggested maybe it's the Aura egg-laying chamber. We'll find out if Aura lay eggs. I'm sorry. They are actually going to do stuff for PvP. I was really shocked and happy to hear this. They're going to make a small-scale PvP mode, and this could be really big because right now...
Yeah, that should make PvP a lot bigger.
Actually, the only thing that I can think of...
I want Blitzball. I don't care if Blitzball is part of the new PvP mode.
If you really like
it's going
this
to be
thing in an MMO, you should probably not play Final Fantasy 14. Like, if you're really... All you're about is
It isn't real.
Final Fantasy 14 might not be the MMO for you. Like, it sucks having to tell people that, but that's my opinion. In the past, some of my friends who tried to get into PvP struggled to do so, even when they were very motivated, because it takes so long to queue for matches. This would solve that problem. So if they can actually make the gameplay fun as well.
Edge.
Well,